This is Brutal Joe Gibson with Ultimate Wrestling, the franchise of Gulf Coast Wrestling, and you are watching Front Row Fanatics. Oh,
yes, sir.
Oh, God.
Welcome back, Gulf Coast Independent Wrestling fans. I am Heinrich Heineken, welcoming you back to the Front Row Fanatics review of Ultimate Wrestling Annihilation. Now, Brother Internet, take it away!
Okay, in that last match we were talking about, of course, Black Sheep Bobby Doll picked up the win. But I do want to give a couple of thumbs up to Party Girl Justin Stone. This guy comes every show, he's in the game. He's always out there giving 110%. I think he had a legitimate shot of maybe beating Bobby Doll, but like I said, Bobby Doll, he's the ultimate legend. What are you going to do?
This is true. This is true. And if you want a guy to come out there and will give you 110% every time he gets in the ring, physical, tough, stiff wrestler, and I can testify that because I've taken a chop from him and that son of a bitch hurt like hell.
And I'm glad he did because it was supposed to be me, and he took it, and I was like, thanks.
So, but Justin Stone, love watching him in action. Great guy, great match with Bobby Doll, but once again, the ultimate legend came through in the clutch and got the dude.
Absolutely. And moving on to the next match, it was supposed to be a singles match against Brian Cage and the feature, Carlos D'Angelo. But, I guess Brian Cage and Canadian superstar Ian Flex, the current X Factor champion, used a little bit of their political pull and made it a tag match. So it ended up being the story of the year, Brian Cage, who, I know you're worried about it, the streak is still alive, unpinned, unsubmitted. He teamed up with Eon Flex to take on the feature Carlos D'Angelo and the Amish Assassin.
Yeah, well, the first thing I can say about this is I'm glad your picture of that fruitcake is not gracing our table anymore. That's right, no picture of that weenie Brian Cage to be found. The bromance is done, baby.
I am still a stout supporter of Brian Cage. I like sure things. I like betting on winners. And what is it now? 8 either current or former Ultimate Wrestling champions that have been unable to pin or submit him.
Oh, no. Here comes our producer.
Thank you, producer.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Here we go. Now we have... everything is in order. This is autographed, by the way. I know a lot of fans have asked me, hey, how do I get an autographed picture of Brian Cage? To be honest, you can't. You can look on eBay, you might find one, but like I said, it's like Bobby Doll's robe. It's well into the thousands. But let's talk about this match. Let's talk about this match. Of course, Amish Assassin returning from that devastating knee injury. When he got in the ring, I like the way he's wrestling now, using power moves, old school moves, headbutts, bear hugs. But Eon Flex, being the submission specialist, went right to work on that knee. Had the Amish Assassin incapacitated for most of the match.
I mean, that was an old school Anderson-style approach to the match by Flex.
Isolate a body part and go to work on it.
They worked the Amish Assassin's knee and leg over for 10 or 12 minutes. I'm surprised he could get up and be walking after the match.
He was noticeably hobbling.
Yes, they worked him over, and poor Carlos was stuck on the outside as they worked his partner over and over and over. And there was really nothing he could do about it, But of course, with the cheating chicanery going on by the team of Flex and your boy toy there, Lion Brian Cage, with his fake streak and his faux hawk, get out of here. That's coming to an end, I can assure you. And maybe next time Los will get his chance to get his belt back by himself, and the outcome will be more in his favor. But, I got to give it credit to where credit is due. The talents of Flex and Cage, they got the win. They used smart ring acumen plus wrestling ability, and they picked up the win over Carlos and the Amish Assassin.
Well, for those interested, they I got missed. Eon Flex beat the Amish Assassin with the sharpshooter. I had a total brain fart there for a minute. But they were Eon Flex and Brian Cage were your winners. The streak is still alive.
Yeah, that shouldn't even count because it wasn't a singles.
I was a little disappointed. I was looking forward to seeing a dose of Los.
Yes.
But
a dose of Los knocking Brian Cage in the next week would have been a lot better. But
Brian Cage also wrestling was still suffering the effects of that slight concussion he received at the hands of Brutal Joe Gibson.
that was awesome. I love that video. I know I've watched it at least 162
He
times.
loops it and watches it over and over.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, coming up next was the main event, and boy, what a main event this was. It pitted the Ultimate Wrestling Heavyweight Champ Death Row teaming up with the self-appointed franchise of Gulf Coast Wrestling, Brutal Joe Gibson,
French fries.
and took on the Master of Devastation Cameron Frost and BTY Colby Godwin. Both of them fresh back from going up to Philly.
Yes, up to Philly for a ROH tryout. Now, two of my personal favorite wrestlers on the Gulf Coast, Frost and BTY, against Joe Gibson, another young star, and Death Row. What can you say? He's a beast. This was the match I was most eagerly looking forward
Me
to
too.
of the show that night, and it delivered. You know, at first you had the little interaction between Joe Gibson, who I believe is the last guy to beat Death Row cleanly.
And that dog collar match.
Absolutely. The bloody dog collar match that took place last year in Pensacola. And at the beginning of the match, I didn't even think the match was going to get started because Joe and Death Row commenced to slapping the shit out of each other right there in the middle of the ring before their opponents even came out.
Well, I kind of found it interesting that Death Row was the one trying, he slapped Joe Gibson first. Joe, right back up in his jibs and returned him one back. It was, you got to admire that. And no, Joe, I'm not jumping bandwagons here. I've always liked Joe Gibson. I've always thought he was a force to be reckoned with. And, just Joe Gibson's one bad mofo. I'll put that out there. And if he wants to be called the franchise of Gulf Coast Wrestling, I will call him that. You don't know what he's going to say or do in or out of the ring, which makes him a very dangerous individual. But let's get to talking about the match. That's where the meat and potatoes of this card is. You cannot see BTY get in there and just manhandle Joe Gibson. And Joe Gibson, it was just a very violent but yet still technical match. BTY fully capable of picking up Death Row.
Absolutely.
And slinging him around. I mean, I'm a little caught up in it. I can't really convey what we saw. Maybe you can.
Yeah, the physicality of the match was unreal because you had three large men in Death Row, Joe Gibson, BTY. Cameron Frost, 235 pounds, being the smallest guy of the bunch.
Right.
In there. Yeah, and, you had all styles of wrestling. You had Death Row, the brutish physical monster. Joe Gibson with his rough and tumble style. Frost, and
Master of Devastation.
Yeah, he goes with the hybrid style. Him and Colby Godwin, they have a long history together. They mesh well as a team. And it was just an awesome match. I mean, these four guys got in there and they beat the living hell out of each other.
And in the end, it was your boy, the Master of Devastation, Cameron Frost, that got the win when he pinned Death Row.
That's right.
Only the fourth guy in 2 years to do that.
And that's saying a lot because Death Row ducks nobody.
No.
But before he had the belt, he's got the belt. He'll put it up there, and anyone who wants some, come get some. Death Row will do that. Yeah, wink, wink, wink. We know where I'm using that one from, as our producer is laughing.
Well, that wasn't it. The match did not end there.
No.
After the 1, 2, 3, there was a melee. The entire locker room cleared out. Doug Pitt and T.A. Jones brought out a ladder, and all the wrestlers seemed to congregate right in front of the ring. T.A. Jones jumped up on the ring apron, took a dive on top of everybody. Doug Pitt, not wanting to be outdone, took a suicide dive from out of the middle of the ring to the outside, which left only Carlos D'Angelo and the Suicidal Soldier in there, and we went crazy. Suicidal Soldier climbed the ladder, which was in the middle of the ring, and did a moonsault, took out the entire Ultimate Wrestling roster. And, of course, the Milton people, that's pretty cool. Yeah. So, of course, the Pensacola Delegates had to start an ultimate chant, and we're getting the wrap-up signal.
And then before that, I'm going, holy shit, holy shit, holy shit, cut.